Blue Oak is not only our very first rival, but also one of the most iconic in Pokémon history. By the end of the game, he becomes the champion of the Kanto region, standing as the final challenge before the credits roll. What makes this fight especially interesting is that Blue is one of the very few champions whose team actually changes depending on the starter choice. In fact, in FireRed and LeafGreen, he effectively has 3 different champion teams, each built around his own starter Pokémon. So in this video, we're going to take a closer look at all 3 versions of his team and figure out which one is the strongest and which one is the easiest to beat. We'll look at the Pokémon he uses, their movesets and how well each team works as a whole. Just a quick note before we start, we're focusing on FireRed and LeafGreen, since the original Red and Blue games had significantly worse movesets, which makes them less interesting to analyze. Before comparing the different versions, we should first look at the 3 Pokémon that never change, regardless of your starter choice. First, there's Pidgeot, his lead Pokémon. Pidgeot is, unfortunately, a fairly underwhelming choice at this stage of the game. Its stats are decent, but nothing particularly stands out, and his moveset doesn't do it any favors either. Aerial Ace is the strongest attack, but at only 60 base power, it's not very threatening. The rest of its moves, Feather Dance, Sand Attack and Whirlwind, are either situational or simply not very impactful in a champion battle. Overall, Pidgeot is clearly the weakest member of his team. Next up is Alakazam, and this is where things start to get dangerous. Alakazam is one of the strongest Pokémon in the game, thanks to its incredibly high speed and special attack. Its moveset is also quite solid. Psychic is a powerful and reliable stab move. Reflect helps reduce incoming physical damage, and Recover allows it to heal and stay on the field longer. Even though Future Sight isn't particularly strong in Generation 3, the rest of its kit is more than enough to make Alakazam a serious threat if you're not prepared. The third constant member is Rhydon. Rhydon can be extremely dangerous if your team doesn't have the right answers. Its Earthquake hits incredibly hard, and combined with Rock Tomb, it has solid coverage. Takedown adds additional damage, while Scary Face is fairly basic. It can still disrupt your strategy. If you lack a strong water or grass type Pokémon, Rhydon alone can cause major problems. Now that we've covered the core, let's look at the Pokémon that change depending on your starter. It's important to note that while the Pokémon themselves change, their movesets remain the same across all teams, which will be important when comparing them later. If you choose Bulbasaur, Blue's team will include Exeggutor, Gyarados and Charizard. Exeggutor plays more of a supportive role, using moves like Sleep Powder and Light Screen, while Giga Drain provides some easy recovery. Although at only 60 base power in Generation 3, its damage output is fairly limited. Gyarados, despite its intimidating appearance, suffers heavily from the physical special split of this generation. The strongest water move, Hydro Pump, uses its weaker special attack stat, while its only physical move, Thrash, is relatively unreliable. Charizard, his ace in this version, has access to Fire Blast, which is strong, but the rest of its moveset is less impressive. Fire Spin is extremely weak and inaccurate, and Aerial Ace and Slash don't have much offensive pressure. Overall, this team has a clear weakness to electric type Pokémon, especially once Rhydon is removed. If you pick Squirtle, Blue uses Gyarados, Arcanine and Venusaur. Gyarados remains the same as before, with all its previously mentioned limitations. Arcanine, however, is a strong addition. With moves like Flamethrower and Extreme Speed, it provides consistent damage and good priority, making it one of the more reliable members of Blue's team. Venusaur, his ace in this version, is somewhat disappointing. Its moveset relies heavily on setting up Sunny Day before using Solar Beam effectively, which makes it slow and predictable. While it has some sustainability with Synthesis, it lacks immediate pressure. Overall, this team is fairly balanced, but it doesn't particularly excel in any area. Finally, if you choose Charmander, Blue's team consists of Arcanine, Exeggutor and Blastoise. Arcanine and Exeggutor function the same as in the previous teams, but the real highlight here is Blastoise. Blastoise has a surprisingly strong and well-rounded moveset. With Rain Dance boosting its Hydro Pump, it can deal significant damage, and Bite provides useful coverage. This version of the team feels much more cohesive overall. Now that we've looked at all 3 teams, we can start comparing them. The weakest team is the one featuring Venusaur. Its reliance on setup and relatively low immediate impact make it less effective than the alternatives, especially when compared to Exeggutor. This leaves us with the Charizard team and the Blastoise team. When comparing the fire type options, Arcanine clearly outperforms Charizard. Its pure fire typing avoids unnecessary weaknesses, and its moveset, especially Extreme Speed and Flamethrower, is simply more reliable. The final comparison comes down to Gyarados vs Blastoise. Due to Generation 3 mechanics, Gyarados cannot effectively utilize its high attack stat, while Blastoise fully benefits from its special attack with strong water type moves like Hydro Pump. As a result, Blastoise is the far superior choice. Taking everything into account, Blue's strongest champion team is Pidgeot, Alakazam, Rhydon, Arcanine, Exeggutor and Blastoise. Blue and his Blastoise form the best team. Perfect. This version offers the best balance, the most consistent damage output and the greatest overall threat. Interestingly, this also means that choosing Charmander does not only make the early game more difficult, but also leads to the toughest possible champion battle at the end. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. If you did, consider liking the video and subscribing for more Pokemon videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one.